72 goddamn, I feel amazing. Damn, I'm in the matrix. My mind is living on cloud nine, and this nine is never on vacation. Start up that Maserati.
Each year, PricewaterhouseCoopers predicts the largest economies in the world in the year 2050. And each prediction shows a dramatic shift in the global balance of power. Right now, the United States of America is the largest economy in the world, by far. Japan is the third economy in the world. Germany, France, and the United Kingdom are the numbers 4, 5, and 6. Italy is the number 8. Canada is the number 10. Thus, the world economy is dominated by Western countries. But all of that is going to change drastically in the years to come. Here are the 10 largest economies in the world in the year 2050, according to PricewaterhouseCoopers. The size of the economies will be measured in nominal GDP, which stands for Gross Domestic Product, which is the value of all products and services as delivered in a given year. The top 10 largest economies in the world in the year 2050 will contain some familiar countries and some unexpected entries. Number 10. Russia. With a GDP of $5.1 trillion, Russia will still be in the top 10 of largest economies in the world in the year 2050. But it will be dwarfed by some of the other members of this powerful top 10 club. Russia owes its position in this top 10 to its huge reserve of precious metals, oil and natural gas that will keep the Russian economy going well into the 22nd century. Number 9. The United Kingdom. In 2050, the United Kingdom will have a GDP of $5.4 trillion, just enough for spot number 9 in the top 10 of largest economies in the world in the year 2050. Despite the United Kingdom leaving the European Union, the British economy will keep growing the next decades. Because of its strong ties to the United States of America, the steady population growth, and its ability to stay away from the trouble that is bothering continental Europe, the United Kingdom can maintain a spot in the top 10 of largest economies in the world in the year 2050. Number 8. Mexico. With a GDP of $5.6 trillion, Mexico is a solid yet unexpected member of the top 10 of largest economies in the world in the year 2050. Because today, Mexico is only the 15th largest economy in the world. It means the Mexican economy is going to make quite a big leap in the next decades. Its strong trade relations with its big neighbor, the USA, and its growing productivity and population all contribute to its firm spot in this top 10. Number 7. Germany. With a GDP of $6.1 trillion, Germany sets its solid mark on this top 10. Germany has had one of the strongest economies in the world for 2 centuries now. Especially as of the 1950s, the German economy showed what the Germans called the Wirtschaftswunder, the miracle economy. In the first 2 decades after World War II, the German economy grew with an unprecedented rate. The result was that the German economy was the 3rd economy in the world for decades, and it took until 2007 before the Chinese economy surpassed the German economy. And thanks to its strong industrial and technological lead and its strong focus on exporting products all over the world, Germany will most likely remain in the top 10 of strongest economies in the world well over 2050. Number 6. Brazil. With a GDP of $6.5 trillion, Brazil occupies a solid spot number 6 in this top 10 of the world's strongest economies of 2050. Thanks to its growing productivity, its large population, and its abundance of natural resources, Brazil is not likely to leave this top 10 anytime during the 21st century. Number 5. Japan. With $6.8 trillion, Japan occupies spot number 5 in this top 10. And Japan has been the second largest economy in the world for decades. And it took China until 2010 to surpass the Japanese economy. In 2050, Japan will still be in the top 10 of largest economies in the world. Chances are it will keep a spot in that top 10 at least until the start of the 22nd century. Number 4. Indonesia. With $7.3 trillion. Indonesia is one of the surprise entries in the top 10 of largest economies in the world in 2050. Right now, Indonesia has a 16th spot. It means the Indonesian economy is going to make a huge leap forward in the next few decades. And thanks to its growing productivity, its large reserve of natural resources, and its huge population, Indonesia is likely to be one of the strongest economies in the world well into the 22nd century. Number 3. India. With $28 trillion, India occupies the 3rd spot in the top 10 of largest economies in the world in the year 2050. India is not as well equipped with natural resources as, for example, Russia or Indonesia. It even has a relatively small landmass, but its population is beyond any other country. As of next year, India will surpass China as the most populated country on Earth, and India is very likely to remain the most populated country for the next century. Having a population of close to 1.5 billion means that only a small rise in productivity per capita is needed to establish a considerable growth in GDP. The domestic market of India is big enough to keep its economic wheels rolling and rolling on their own. But on top of that, India's export is showing a remarkable growth too, and that's why it ends up at the 3rd spot in this top 10. Number 2. Well, who is the number 2? As you might have expected, the number 2 economy in the world in the year 2050 is the United States of America, with a GDP of $34 trillion. Yes, what we now know to be as the most powerful economy in the world will no longer be the number 1. And in 2050, the USA has lost that title already decades ago. According to PricewaterhouseCoopers, the USA will lose the title of the strongest economy in the world in the year 2030. And because of its huge domestic market, its tremendous technological lead, its strong exporting force, and its huge reserve of natural resources, the USA is likely to stay one of the top 3 economies in the world for the next few centuries. Number 1. China. Of course, it's inevitable. In 2050, China will be the largest economy of the planet. The only question is, how much bigger will it be than the American economy? Will it be about the same size as the USA, or will it dwarf the American economy? Well, it's not the first. It's most likely the latter. PricewaterhouseCoopers predicts the Chinese economy to be $50 trillion in the year 2050. So that's considerably larger than the American economy. If the predictions of PricewaterhouseCoopers are correct, the combined Chinese and Indian economies will be twice as big as the American economy in the year 2050. China and India are neighbors, and as their economies develop, renew and grow, they display more and more strategic trade agreements. If, and who knows what the future will bring, but if China and India would somehow reach a level of economic cooperation in which they would operate as one combined market, they would become the most powerful economic bloc in the world, they would dwarf any other economy and they would dominate the world in every way imaginable. Do you agree with this image of the future? And what would you think about China and India dominating the world? Please leave your comments below, and please press the thumbs up button if you think the topic of this video is interesting. And please subscribe to get notified of more videos from Amazing Top 10s. Thank you for watching.